Good evening. We are very disappointed in the judge's ruling of dismissal on the motion to dismiss and motion for mistrial, but he clearly wants the jury to decide, and so we'll go with that. We want to talk about how great the defense case was today. They had quite a few witnesses to rebut the alleged confession by Noor Salman and put a lot of those things in the proper light, and we learned about the real Noor, the innocent mother, cared about her son, wasn't very, complicated, took care of Mateen's family, nieces and nephews. They loved her, they trusted her. She had nothing to do with this massacre. We're sorry that a lot of the falsities put on by the government are going to the jury, but we're gonna hope for the best.
She said free her. Did you hear that? That the person drove by?
No.
Yeah, she did. Good afternoon. In any criminal trial, you have to have evidence. And what's been missing in this case is evidence. Evidence doesn't lie. People lie. Evidence does not lie. People lie. And you follow the evidence, you'll find the truth. And so far, all the evidence is showing that Noor Salman had nothing to do with this crime. So the burden of proof is on the government to prove their case. And they're suggesting different language, and they want somehow that the jury will connect the dots for them, to make the case for them. And frankly, when you don't have a case, you bring headlines, meaning news headlines. And so far, the government from the beginning of this has bringing headline after headline, and we learned today it's all been false. And the missing headlines in all of this is that Omar Mateen's father worked for the FBI. Omar Mateen's father worked for the FBI. The FBI testified today that they were considering making Omar Mateen the shooter that killed 49 people. This FBI was considering him to be an informant working for the FBI. There is either some sort of cover-up or there is some sort of huge incompetence, and I don't know what's worse. Because what happened is 49 people are dead and we should be outraged, and not pointing the finger at Noor Salman, but asking law enforcement how they allowed this to happen. They had the criminal within their grips. They interviewed him so many times. His father joined the interview, who worked for the FBI at the same time. The FBI agent, Martin, mentioned today and testified that the father of Omar Mateen called him so many times, upset that they were investigating the son. How much impact did that have on closing the case? Had Omar Mateen been charged in 2014, he would have been a convicted person, never able to purchase a weapon, and likely never been able to carry out the massacre at the Pulse nightclub. But rather what we have here is a woman that there's no evidence she did anything. Even the casing that they suggested, going to the Pulse nightclub, false. Even the casing at City Place, turns out today from expert witness, false. There's no evidence it ever took place. There's evidence that she went to a convenience store on their highway, but there's no evidence she went to City Place despite 42 cameras out there around that place, around the City Place. There's no evidence that she was there, that she was present. It raises all types of concerns. What's on the judge's mind, we don't know, but maybe he didn't want to be the one to decide. Obviously, like the rest of us that have been sitting through the trial, there's so much doubt about this case. So much doubt that there's a cloud of doubt over this courthouse. And it's because of all the false information that we were led to believe. But maybe the judge doesn't want to do that. Maybe the judge wants a jury to decide that. And that could be in Noor's favor ultimately. Because if he declares a mistrial, they could come back with a retrial. But if the jury acquits her completely, which if they're like the rest of us, they haven't seen any evidence, and without evidence you can't convict, then she won't be retried and she's going to walk out free. Thank you very much.
Al, you want to say a few comments?
Well,
go ahead.
I'm just waiting for that moment to
be innocent.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for that moment to finish the trial and show that she's innocent, so I can tell everybody, I told you so, she's innocent, and she will be home.
Thank you so much.
How frustrating is it that the jury is not going to hear about Sadiq's FBI?
You know, we have, it can be frustrating because that's how, you know, people maneuver and they have different strategies. It can be frustrating that the jury is in the dark about all this stuff. So, but even despite that, without having all this information, they still have not presented the evidence. To them, it may be shocking. Maybe there are situations where if there's some sort of conviction, it could be appealed because there's a lot of different information. There's a lot of misconduct that took place, so there may be grounds for that, but it can be frustrating. I think especially for the family and people that don't understand the court system, like, how is the jury not hearing this? It's so obvious to us. They have the wrong person on the defense side, on the defense table. So, yes, they seem to be frustrated.
With the connection between the two, should she get found guilty, what are the chances of appeal? Does this increase your chances of appeal?
I think that's for the, you know, the courts to decide on the lawyers, but definitely there seems to be a lot of misconduct. Even the judge noticed it. There was information that was not shared. So we don't want to talk about that at this point. It seems like there wasn't enough evidence. The government did not make its case with real hard evidence that Noor Salman was somehow associated with this. And somehow, which can be very troubling, that a week before the attack took place, that the father would transfer money overseas to Afghanistan and Turkey in the thousands of dollars, that somehow is not as important as what the government presented, that, you know, Noor Salman went shopping at Zales and went to buy a watch at the mall and went to Walmart. You know, so there's a lot of discrepancies. Thank you so much.
You're on, Bella.
Oh, yeah.